Hi, everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is a podcast where I share my insights. And today I'm talking about life is for learning. This could be a multi-part series because life is for loving, life is for living. But for today, I'm going to be talking about the educative nature of life. And we never stop learning. Even the so-called master teachers or gurus or Yodas in the world are still practicing being good students. And I want to talk to you about the nature of being a good student in this thing we call life, because it is very eye-opening and helpful to us. So stick around. When I became a music teacher, I always felt like I never knew enough to be a teacher. Because I never knew all about music. There was so much about music I didn't know. And I have a terminal degree, which makes me laugh because it implies that I am some kind of know-it-all. And I realize how funny that is to get on YouTube and pontificate and teach and share insight. But I do that with a wink and a nod because I realize that I too am a practicing student of life. And it's not until you really start getting into your own path and looking at it in hindsight as educative that you will see just how beneficial every single thing that has happened to you is. People who suffer have not reflected deeply enough to have extracted the benefit of their past. And I do believe we can extract benefit from anything, especially traumatic circumstances, because in that it will open insight, wisdom, and understanding, which is probably the most valuable thing that can happen to you in your journey and in your formation. Many people are haunted by their past for one reason: because they haven't looked into it enough. They're running away from it, or they carry it around like a sack of rocks. And they judge it as, this should not have happened. However, you must realize that every life form on the planet is stumbling towards understanding. We do this. We stumble our way to learning how to walk. We mumble our way through learning how to talk. It's just this funny, clunky dance of learning who we are. It's very much like that show way back when called The Greatest American Hero. He found a superhero outfit and it didn't come with instructions. So everything was just complete chaos, but he never learned how to master the suit. That whole series was him learning the power that he had. And that's what we're doing. We're learning of the power that we have. We're learning of the incredible creative minds that we have. And we are learning of the unconditional love that is budding within each of us. What makes teaching like this, if you want to call it teaching, I call it sharing insight. Sharing insight like this can come across as, I know something that you don't. And that's not what I want it to be. I want you to know that every great teacher, every great success story has with it a caveat. And that is, we stay this naive child. Every Yoda. I call them Yodas. Sadhguru, Eckhart Tolle, Jesus, the Buddha. They all talk about this childlike naivete. And no one is the master of spiritual teaching, insomuch that it can be encapsulated in a single person. If it makes anybody feel any better, every person on the planet is waking up with a new opportunity to learn something. Even the oldest, wisest Solomons out there are still learning. There's a great hymn called Great is Thy Faithfulness, and there's a line in it that says, "Morning by morning new mercies I see." So if you follow my channel and you've been listening to my insights, I want you to know that my insights are growing, and I am learning and practicing learning from life. So you hear people say something like, life is teaching us. What's very difficult is to describe what L-I-F-E is. Life is teaching us. You could say, I am teaching myself. You can say, the teacher in me is teaching the student in me. You can say, the shepherd in me is guiding the sheep in me. So we have within us this capability of detecting self and other. And this capability is strange because we can talk to ourselves, we can lie to ourselves, we can deceive ourselves, we can betray ourselves, we can deny ourselves. What I'm trying to show you is that this self and other never go away. The life lessons never go away. And the more that you know, the more that you don't know seems to grow. So to a lot of people, this is overwhelming. There's that knowledge, the truth, capital T, the truth of love, has so many aspects of it. Not one individual can know it all. And sometimes we can become experts and the ego takes over. We lose our naive sense. We fail to admit that we're still learning. But we have to have teachers, right? We got to have teachers who have uncovered some insight, but never admit to knowing it all. Because then you start getting into competitive spiritual teaching. Who knows the most? Who's the best? And this is about understanding that everyone on the planet is doing their best. You're doing your best. I'm doing my best. So we're doing, saying, speaking, and expressing ourselves to the best of our ability, our knowledge, etc. So why do we have a past? Do we just forget it? No. We do. In Isaiah it says, forget the former things. But learn from it first. What you want, your past will not let you go until you really dive into it and begin to learn from it. Many of us are running from it. We're trying to hide it, sweep it under the rug, pretend like we didn't do those things. So admit it, you did it. Confess that you did it to yourself. And sit with it for a while and realize how admonishing it is. That word is often used in preaching and things like that. But it's just, wow. If that hadn't happened and that hadn't happened and I wouldn't have awoken to these new understandings in me. See, the world is far too busy pursuing material things and status and applause and approval, that there are people who have learned of a higher kind of knowledge. Something that is fulfilling, peaceful, serene, and safe. And you want to share it. Once you start getting these insights, you want to share it. How do you start getting insights? Look at your past and think deeply about what it's telling you. That's what hindsight is for. What did I learn? If you have a regret, you haven't learned yet. You haven't learned. And you'll keep repeating it, and you'll find yourself in these patterns of repetition until you start to get it. So the teacher in you seems to be dragging you through the same lesson over and over and over again. But there seems to be an infinite number of lessons about love. That's how broad it is. That's how amazing the unconditioned state is. It seems to have a limitless amount to tell us and to teach us. And every day you sketch out or etch out a little bit more of this understanding. And from there, you develop a sense that everybody is doing their best, even you. Even the people that seem to be lashing out. Once you start to understand that you can do no better than your shape and sense of consciousness, and you begin learning from your own life, you can see when people lash out that they are when somebody lashes out or does something harmful, you can ask yourself, out of what pain, out of what anger, out of what fogginess, out of what unconsciousness, out of what misunderstanding did that action come? That's forgiveness, understanding. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know. We don't know what we're doing. Which is weird, because teachers are teaching and they don't quite know. I guess if you call what I'm saying teaching, I don't know. I don't know any better than you. All I'm doing is practicing what I know, sharing what I know. And you will develop your own insight and understanding into this. It's a beautiful thing. But you develop compassion and empathy. And empathy is not this judgment of looking down on people going, oh, what a shame. She can't seem to get it together. Or if you see somebody begging on the street, you don't look down on them. You realize that their creative mind would not allow them anything else except to stand on the street corner. That was the best they could do. They thought, what could I do for some money or some food or whatever? And their mind opened up a little idea. Go beg on the street corner. That's the best I can do. Now, we know that people can do better than that. You can do better than begging on the street. But telling somebody they can do better, I don't know if that helps. What helps is being able to not hold them in contempt. You want to help yourself, free yourself from judging, holding a grudge over them, and helping if you can. That's the key. And if you want to, sometimes just handing a beggar what they want does not help. It doesn't teach them how to fish, if you will. You don't just hand them over a fish. You might say, I will give you a fish if you allow me to teach you how to fish. You see? And they may or may not. But sometimes placing a condition on it will help educate them. In much the same way as you limit a choice for a child and show them giving is what unleashes the power in you, right? You don't just give the child what they want. You give them some condition. Hey, clean up your room, do your chores, contribute to the household, and you can have this treat, you see. That helps show children that giving is what initiates love. Unfortunately, it's misinterpreted a lot. We think love is earned. That's the problem. We believe love is approval from others. We believe that love is, that we have a deficiency of it, and that it's transactional. We secretly keep logbooks. It's tit for tat. That's how we first learn what love is. And it's also retaliation or eye for eye. Spiritual awakening is really the strings dissolved and all of that strings attached garbage. There's no strings attached when everybody's doing their best. Forgiveness is a secret, quiet letting go and understanding. You forgive somebody in your heart. You don't have to say anything. You can if you so desire, but forgiveness is just a quiet, private affair that keeps you out of the judgment business and helps you to see empathically, not pathetically, like, oh, you poor thing. No. To understand that the pain is, they are responding to pain. They are responding to fear. And spiritual awakening says this stops here. I'm not going to perpetuate this cycle of hurt, this cycle of fear, this cycle of lack, this perpetuating craving for more. It stops with me. I'm going to break the generational curse. There's no love to be earned. Love is learned. You see? You learn how to love. You stumble into this awkwardly, through failure, through trial, through suffering, until you realize suffering is no longer necessary as a tool. But you can still learn. You will enjoy it this time around. Some people don't like being in school. But when you start loving the learning process and how the universe has managed to unlearn unconditional love in something called an individual. Once this begins to loosen up and the accentuation of the individual dies down, you realize everything's connective. Insides and outsides are the same. Good and evil are the same. Black and white are the same. And the body-mind construct is a duality, out of which spirituality sees unity at a much higher level than the polar opposites on the surface. Not everybody has seen it yet. They're still stuck on one side of this, keeping records of who did them wrong, keeping records of how much money they gave. And sometimes spiritual teaching can come across as, this is a tool to get what you want. It's transactional. I'm trying to show you there is no transaction, no guilt. In the higher levels of existence, everything is unified. And where the part is, the whole is too. It just appears that there's an inside to the body and an outside, that this is a barrier of some kind. But the creature/environment are the same. The creature and the creator are the same. We see through the duality in faith. And there is so much to learn about that a little 10-minute video is far too small to even cover it. I'm just trying to introduce you to it. Put it this way. It's budding in. budding. Love is budding in. Not butting. It's not budding in. It's budding in. And when that happens, the light burns from within. It seems to dissolve the hard shell of the ego. And you'll see this happening in many people. And for the people who are still suffering, still lashing out in anger, still lashing out in fear, they haven't seen the light yet. That's all. And all we can do is be demonstrations of the light. Be compassionate and empathetic and do not retaliate. Keep no more records against those people who seem to have harmed you. Because all you're doing is seeing former versions of yourself. That's it. You've done it too. You cheated, you lied, you stole, all these things. I did too. So I am not white as snow, but I've understood from my past. I am not a master teacher. I am a naive, ignoramus child who loves to share what he learned. And I'm continuing to learn. And if you jump on this admonishing nature of life, all sorts of wonderful peace, letting go, and healing will begin. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed my insights. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com. Thank you for watching.